One of my favorite books of all time is actually Friedrich Nietzsche's Thus Spoke Zarathustra. Now, this book is very much like a Bible to me because I've come back to it time and time again, revisited it, especially during the more tumultuous periods of life. This book has offered incredible insights, and on many different revisits, I come away with incredible, profound revelations that's really offered a lot of solace against the uncertainties and the happenstance of life itself. Now, recently, as I've been rereading it again, I came across a particular sentence that Nietzsche wrote that truly I've been ruminating on a lot, because it really is such a mind-blowing yet such an important insight. In particular, Nietzsche writes, "I say unto you, one must still have chaos in oneself to be able to give birth to a dancing star. I say unto you, you still have chaos in yourselves." Now, when I read this sentence recently, I can't help but think that this sentence is very paradoxical. Paradoxical in the sense that, in a way, Nietzsche is talking about something very negative. He says to us that we have chaos in us, and that chaos very much is a part of our life, I suppose, very much in us. Yet at the same time, he goes on to say that we must have chaos in order to give birth to a dancing star, which the star itself, the stars that we look up to in the night sky being such majestic things. And so this sentence really is quite paradoxical. When you really think about it, it is incredibly profound. And to really appreciate how profound it is, you've got to reflect on two things, I think. The first thing you've got to reflect on is the definition of chaos. Now, when we hear the word chaos, we tend to associate that with a bad thing. And of course, by no means an exaggeration. If you were to go into the dictionary and look up the word chaos, chaos is defined as utter confusion, the utter disorganization of life, the antithesis of order, the antithesis of certainty, and in fact, oftentimes in the definition of chaos, you see a reference to it being the state of the universe before the universe came to form. It seems to represent everything that we don't want in life, especially everything that we don't want to happen to us. And Nietzsche says we have this chaos and that we must have this chaos. Now, what's very interesting, I think, is that Nietzsche goes on to tell us that it is the prerequisite to have this chaos to be able to give birth to dancing stars. Now, if you were to look at the astrophysics of how stars are formed, it actually reveals a lot that may help us to make sense of this incredible philosophical insight that Nietzsche offers. Now, a star is born when atoms of light elements are squeezed together under enough pressure that they undergo fusion. But stars are very special because they are actually the result of chaos, yet ultimately the balance of forces that result from the chaos. So you imagine in the darkness of space and in the universe, the chaotic conditions of different elements being there. Eventually, when the right conditions happen, a star is born. But it really is a balance of forces that allows a star to be born. You see, the forces of gravity compresses atoms in interstellar gas until fusion reaction begins. And once the fusion reaction begins, they exert an outward pressure. As long as the inward force of gravity and the outward force generated by fusion are equal, then the star remains stable. It's self-contained, yet it results from the chaos of the universe. But the chaos mixed with the balance of forces. Now, you don't need to be an astrophysicist, or really a person who knows astrophysics or cosmology, to look up in the night sky and really appreciate how majestic and how beautiful these stars are. And it really is very touching, especially when you look at it. In the darkness of space and the night sky, there are all these beautiful stars that represent balance in the face of chaos, yet chaos being a part of what they are. And it really makes you appreciate them so much more when you look at them like that. And if you really consider the astrophysics and the philosophical statement of Nietzsche, then you start to think about it in the human context as he's trying to apply it. That's really so profound. Because in life, we do, in the same sense, deal with chaos. A sort of external chaos of the world, of life itself, things that might happen, that might be beyond our control, that we might not expect. This can be truly challenging and tumultuous things that were not part of our plan, that were not part of the certainty, and they just happen because that is the nature of life, the chaotic, outward, external chaos of life. Internally, in terms of our mind and our conscious experience of life, there is also a lot of chaos because we have emotions. We might feel different emotions, especially a chaos of emotions, especially as we react to the external happenstance of life. This may be emotions that could be particularly negative. For example, one moment we're very happy, and suddenly we're very sad, we're in anguish, or we feel a sense of distress or anxiety, or maybe even depression. And we see this ping-ponging of the external chaos and the internal chaos ping-ponging us, dragging us left and right, up and down, and we just feel incredibly confused, the very definition of what chaos actually is. And we want to fight it. We want certainty. We want certainty in the things that happen in life. We hope things go according to plan. At the same time, we also want certainty in terms of our emotions. We want to feel happy all the time. Yet when these things are happening, the external and the internal, we just don't. But what we don't realize is that really we can't make life not chaotic. And indeed, it is the chaos of life that really allows us to become something much more if we can rise above it. In the same sense of how stars are born, if we can achieve the balance of forces. You see, we all know for a fact, to a very large degree, we can't exactly control the external chaos of life, the external happenstance. For example, we can't control what might happen tomorrow in terms of, let's say, our life. We can't control many of the things that happen. To a large degree, we try, but many of the things are out of our control. After all, we aren't omnipotent, we can't do that. Yet, when you think about that overriding force of what happens externally, and you think about the internal aspects of your emotions, that's something that you can control. Yes, it might feel terrible when terrible things happen to you, but then it's also a conscious decision how you decide to ultimately react to it going forward. Some people revel in a lot of misery, especially when chaos happens, but what they don't realize is that they've got to balance the external chaos, which might be exerting an outward pressure, with an internal force that's holding everything together. And when we do that, we can rise above whatever it is that life throws at us. And in the process, something very beautiful happens. Now imagine, as an example, something truly terrible happens in your life, a challenge, let's say. You can collapse in accordance to the external pressure, the external chaos that's happening. You can be incredibly chaotic internally as well. And as a result, nothing really happens except suffering. Yet, when horrible things happen externally, you can also eventually make a conscious choice to move beyond it internally, in your heart, in your mind. Make a conscious decision to try and push back against it, to achieve that balance. And in doing so, you might be able to elevate yourself much more, and maybe even your life. When we think about the word stars, we also think about inspirational human beings, not necessarily celebrities in Hollywood, but human beings that we aspire to in the same sense that we admire stars in the sky. A lot of these people, they are inspirational because no matter what circumstances they had in their lives, they decided to take control of themselves and how they respond to those chaotic circumstances in life. And through that darkness, they start to shine. And I think that's essentially what a star really is, isn't it? A spark of light in the immense darkness of the night sky. And so when you really think about your life and the things that happen, and you think about how bad it is sometimes when things you don't expect happens to you, the chaos as we speak, think about how that is a prerequisite to truly experience something phenomenal when you can rise through that darkness and shine, rather than just shine in the brightness of the day, but shine internally in the dark.